All right, so now that we just completed going through the whole importing the banking information, right? If you set up your rules correctly, just like what we did earlier, right? You're gonna save yourself so much more time. So this time, the next time you put in your importing your banking transactions, because we set these as automatically categorized, as soon as things like Mailchimp or InterestLink or things like that is recognized, it's gonna automatically be transferred into your banking. Okay. Now remember, anything that you are confirming, so the transactions that we manually inputted, so through all those payments we received, all those checks that we wrote, all of those, yes, you have to unfortunately go through that unless you state otherwise that those transactions have gone through. But in this case, when you set the rules up, it's only for transactions that you have yet to put into your QuickBooks file. Anything that you have done prior to that, you're going to have to manually match them one at a time, okay? And even if you are looking for those different transactions, so again, remember that Mario, right? We couldn't find him, and then all of a sudden he popped up at the very bottom, and then we were able to find him and recategorize him to the correct account, because it said it was an owner's draw. No, he was a salaries and wages expense. So in this case, again, there are a few things that can be matched automatically, but you want to also be very careful. So again, we had, I think, like 10 extra transactions that have not gone through yet. So that's why we went ahead and set up those rules. So the next time you enter in those ins, they should go through automatically. So once you've completed it, as you can see, you'll get that check mark saying that you completely went through all of your transactions. And if you go to the categorized section, here you'll have all 21 transactions for the month of January. Okay, and boom, it says right here that your banking in QuickBooks is $34,868. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and dive into the next section here. Is going to be doing a bank reconciliation. So just exactly like what we were talking about earlier, why is it so necessary to record our transactions and be able to keep a really good track record of our bank account? Number one is that we're constantly putting in money in, and we're constantly spending and removing the money out of our checking account. Once again, you never want to accidentally overspend, or you never want to forget to put money into your bank account. So that's why it is truly very important. However, the best way that we can make sure to ensure that what we're doing on our end is accurate, we have what's called a bank reconciliation, okay? Now, first off, what is a reconciliation? Now, when we talk about reconciliations, we're talking about comparing our books to someone else's books. And the best way to get a copy of your transactions is going to either your bank institute to get a bank statement, because they are going to be on their end keeping track of your transactions. So whether it's a bank statement, a credit card statement, a loan statement, that is another proof of a transaction that another company is keeping track of you. Okay, so that is something that you want to keep in mind, is that that is a perfect way to compare your books to somebody else's books. Okay, now again, someone else's books is in terms of keeping track of your transactions, right? So again, a bank statement will give you a track record of all the checks that you've written, all the money that you deposited, all the online payments, all the money that you received through online payments, all of that jazz, right? It's going to contain all that information. Now, here's the rule of thumb. We are constantly writing checks. We should know for a fact that checks have a holding period, right? Just because you write a check, that doesn't mean it instantly comes out of your bank account, right? Same thing with deposits. Just because you deposit a check, that doesn't mean it clears right away. So that is also one of the things that you want to ensure too, is when you cut that check, did the person who received that check actually receive the money? Because again, a check, we know the day that you write it, it has a 6-month holding period, meaning that person does not even need to cash it out until they have 6 months to cash it out, okay? And on top of that, remember, we're looking from transferring from one bank account to another. If the recipient of that check does deposit their check, it depends on the day of the week of when that check will clear. Because again, on our books, we said that we wrote that check, that money's gone, it's out of my bank. That is not true, okay? Because if you wrote that check and you mailed it out on a weekend, guess what? It won't even arrive until the next following week. It takes 2 to 5 business days to mail out a check, okay? And then on top of that, depending on the day that they deposit it, could also take anywhere from 2 to 5 business days to even clear. So if they're depositing their check at 6 p.m. on a Friday, it won't even clear until Tuesday the following week, because Monday they'll process it, takes 24 hours. Tuesday they officially post it. So in this case, when we're talking about writing a check, that is one of the things that we have to understand is that takes time. Deposits, we also know too, if we're doing the same and opposite thing that we're doing here, we're making deposits to our bank account, cash will always be instant. That will go automatically into your checking account and be available for you instantly. However, if it's a check, it will take that 1 to 2 business days to clear, depending on when you deposit it, the day that you deposit it. Banks don't work on the weekend. So in this case, if you decided to deposit that check on Friday at 7 o'clock at night, then your chances that it won't clear until the very next day, unless you physically go into the bank itself during its operating hours and manually, physically either cash that check out or deposit it right there at the bank teller. It should be in the bank within 24 hours. There's a lot of processes when you're talking about making deposits and writing those checks out, is that because the transferability of money from one account to another, checks is probably the worst way to go ahead and get that money instantly in your account. The best form of transaction is via cash or EFT, electronic funds transfer, right? We talked about this, that we're living in the digital age now where, I need to pay for my bill. I can use my online banking, go ahead and transfer the money immediately to that bank account, and it should be done within 24 hours. Okay? Now, if you're doing from Cash App to Cash App, it should be instant. Okay? So again, the feasibility and the availability of all the methods of payments, of whether we pay or whether we receive, there's always going to be some kind of time frame or some kind of situation where not everything is done immediately, okay? So that's why we have to talk about bank reconciliation, because if we're writing all of these checks on our books, the bank may not record that because they're still pending to be processed, or maybe you deposited it at the end of the month, so that means it won't clear until the next month, okay? So that's the thing about bank statements, is that usually they give you a time frame of when the activity in your bank account was. Okay, so usually bank statements are done at the you're given one, and it basically keeps a track record of you for a whole month. So usually they do from January 1st to January 31st, right? That's your transactions that you did for that month. What has cleared and what has not cleared, and so on and so forth. So that is exactly what we're doing here, is we need to compare our books to somebody else's books. And by doing so, that will, one, for surely ensure the accuracy of our accounting, and two, that also shows us where our money is pending. So again, if you sent out a check 2 weeks ago and your vendor still hasn't deposited in their checking account, you should go ahead and give your vendor a call to ensure that check does clear, and ask them, hey, have you received my payment yet? And if they said no, then you're going to have to do the process of avoiding that check and reissuing a new one. So there's a lot of factors when it comes into seeing your transactions clear versus the transactions that have yet to clear. Okay? And that's what a bank reconciliation does. Now, you can reconcile almost any bank account, any liability account, and any equity account. So when I say bank account, I mean asset account. So, but the more easier and common ones that are normally done are your bank and credit card accounts. Okay. Of course, you can do your loan, but again, a loan you only pay once a month anyway. So, in this case, there's not much to reconcile except for the interest that you were charged for that month and so on and so forth, right? Unless you're making multiple payments on it. But as far as that, you can do any asset account, any liability account, and any equity account. Okay, if you're putting money into your company, that's an equity account, right? So you can reconcile anything that you'd like. However, like I've mentioned, the more common ones and the one that you're getting an actual physical monthly statement for or proof that your transaction has like clearer things is going to be a bank statement or a credit card statement. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to do a more common one. So we're going to be doing a bank reconciliation. Now, oftentimes this, once again, because a bank and checking account is just so important to a business, you should be doing your bank reconciliation as often as possible, okay? In a real accounting world, right, depending on what kind of business you are, if you're a corporation, you should be checking your bank account almost every day. Okay. Now, if you're a small business that doesn't really get that much income or you're not spending that much, then you can get away with doing a monthly bank reconciliation or even a quarterly bank reconciliation. It really depends on your business. But as this is going to be an end of the accounting period or at the end of the month adjustment, you definitely want to try to do as frequent as possible because you need to know where your money is at all times. So now that I talked about that, let's go ahead and dive into this bank reconciliation. So what you're going to do here is you're going to go to the gear icon. So no plus new this time. You're going to go to the gear icon and you're going to click reconcile. Okay. So on your Google Classroom, you should have a copy of your bank statement. I've also posted it here as well. So this is the adjusted one. So I wanted you to make sure that you follow through this one because this is going to also have all the transactions that we added. So such as we added Stephen Boswell, which isn't one of those transactions that was in the book to begin with. So there are multiple transactions that I have also added in here. So I've already given you a updated version through the PowerPoint, okay? But you do have a copy in your Google Classroom. I recommend you to just to follow through this one because it's more up to date, okay? So you're gonna go ahead and start your reconciliation. Make sure it is coded to the correct amount. You're gonna do it for your checking account. So again, your beginning balance should be 0 because we're assuming that we're starting our QuickBooks books as of January 1st. So in this case, or December 31st or whatever it is date that you're going to put. And we started out with $0, okay? And your ending balance should be $41,816.56, okay? And we're going to put the statement date as the January 31st, okay? So again, any service charges that we have to put in there, you're going to have to put it in there. So again, any interest that we earned, you're going to also have to put that in there, okay? So make sure you go ahead and code that before you start your reconciliation. So let's go ahead and take a look at that window. We're going to go ahead and click on that gear icon. And once again, we're going to hit that reconcile. It's going to be under the tools section, okay, right here, reconcile, okay? Only one way to get there is through the gear icon and reconcile, okay? So once you get here, all right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So go ahead and click on get started, and then here is what you're going to do. You're going to walk you through it. Now it's going to tell you to connect your bank account. We don't need to, so let's just go ahead and get reconciled. Okay? So once again, here is that table that we were talking about earlier on what you need to fill in, such as what account you're going to be reconciling and so on and so forth. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and click that X right there. So we're going to, okay, we're going to do our checking account 1025, right? What was any beginning balances that we had? We said we started out with 0, so ending balance was that 41,800. You see 41, 8, 1, 16, 56. 41, 8, 16, 56. Okay. Okay, let's double confirm that real quick. 41, 8, 16, 56, and it's going to be for January 31st. Okay, so January 31st. Awesome. Okay, and then we can go ahead and click Start Reconciling. Okay, so then now at the very top, it's going to tell you what your interest was and what's your things that you need to add in there. So in this case, what we're doing here is we need to compare our bank statement with this, and we're going to check mark what has cleared and what has not. So notice this at the very top. It tells you what you your statement ending balance was. So we said it was actually, wait, hold on. Let's make sure that was correct. That we ended our statement balance with, oh, I changed it. It was supposed to be 46.11.33. Okay, so I got to change that. So my bad there. Okay. If you need to make any changes, you can go ahead and click Edit Info. So in this case, your statement was supposed to be 46.11. 46.11. 46.11.33. Okay, and then I'm gonna click save. So here, that's what you should have started out with. This is how, or yes, and then you want to make sure that all these things go through. Now, you want to clear as many things that you see on your bank statement that have cleared. So you are going to clear them one at a time by check marking them. Okay, and making sure that they go through. So here, right now, your most important thing is you want to identify right here. This one will automatically identify for you of what things have cleared for you, but you have to double confirm with your bank statement to go ahead and verify, yes, those transactions went through. Yes, those transactions went through. Your goal here is, with this formula right here, your goal needs to be 0. 0, okay? That means you checked mark that you identified all of the checks that have cleared. You've identified all the deposits that have cleared and any transactions in between, including the interest and including the other stuff, okay? So in this case, you could choose, do you want to look at your payments? That way you can be able to identify them a lot quicker. So let's see, a lot of our payments cleared. We have this $671 check that we wrote on the 14th. So we want to make sure if that cleared or not. So in this case, that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at my bank statement, and I'm going to verify. Now here, this should be matching on your end as well, that you should have had a total amount of checks or things that you have deposited in credit should be $1,854.41. You had a total of checks that are currently pending or currently cleared for $11,233.09. And of course, you got a $10 service charge, and you got 1 penny worth of interest to get you to your ending balance. So in this case, I need to make sure that all these checks that I've written have gone through. So you're going to be in the payments tab and making sure that these all go through, and whichever one that you're missing is what you're going to identify. Okay, so in this case, you do have to take some time here to go through every single transaction. Now in this case, let me see. Total payments is 16 payments for $11,189. Okay, so if you want to take a shortcut, you can confirm that part is true. So in this case, I'm missing a payment here. Okay, now the deposit should be 51. Let's see. Deposit should be 51. 51,854. So that one seems to be correct on this end, 5441. So what I'm missing here is a payment, right? And right here, I'm missing $54. So in this case, I have to determine which payment I am missing, okay? So here, you want to have to go through every single one. So here, let's see. I have a $21 payment here that I have not checked. A one for $4,815, and I have one for $100.88. So you want to go through that just to confirm which one is true. Now, so let's go through all of those payments and see which one have cleared. So you got check right here. Let's see. So you got a payment for 15. You got the payment for $15.67, $29.99, and then $180. So you're just missing this $671.16. So you do have to go through them one at a time to go ahead and compare. But now I know I'm missing a payment. Okay. So here I've found my $15.67, my $1,500, $29.99, my $180. Now this is going to be in date order, okay? So it might be easier for you to keep track of, and you can rearrange them. Now in this case, what I see here is the ones I have not checked mark is usually going to be indicated that that one was not verified. Okay, so in this case, do I have any of these checks that I have written not go through? This $21, did I have a $21 payment? Let's see. Okay, not that I see on my list. Okay, so that means that's confirmed to be correct. Now in this case, you have to go through one of each and every single one of them. We already know that my deposits are correct, right? We already knew that it was that $1,854.41. That one's correct. Now, did I plug in my interest and my bank service charge? Okay. In this case, that could be one of the features that are, because you're supposed to be able to enter that in. Let's see. Let me go ahead and click all and see if I can find that 1 penny interest, which I'm supposed to be able to put that in there. So let me see. Edit information. That's what we have here. Okay. We should be able to put our interest and our service charges in there. Now, for any reason that you don't get a zero balance, so I'm missing $54 somewhere, that is where you're going to have to go through your transactions to confirm that you have no discrepancy. So in this case, as far as my payments, that's the only one I'm missing. This is off. I'm missing $54. Right? Now, in this case, you won't be able to add anything unless you, prior to this, you add it into your QuickBooks ahead of time. We did put in our interest, so I don't know why that's not there. And we did put in our service charge for $10. So I'm trying to find where that is. Because if you remember from our bank, we already cleared that from interest, the interest that we earned. We've already cleared that 1 penny. And we already cleared that $10 charge. Right here, the $10 charge is there. Okay. What about this $188 that's a deposit? Okay. So there's the $10 service charge. Okay. We're missing this. Okay. So in this case, I have a lot of discrepancies in here. So I'm missing $671. I'm missing $21. If worst case scenario, oftentimes if something doesn't clear, you might have to edit this. Maybe the original one was correct. maybe we were supposed to be at this. What was the original one? The 4, let me see, the original one. Yeah, maybe that could be the reason, because when we did this last time, that $16.56 refund did not clear. So in this case, maybe this one is correct. That's 41,816.56. Let's see. So let's plug that in. Oftentimes, you're gonna have that. You won't be able to. You shouldn't be seeing any mistakes into entering the ending balance, because that's supposed to be whatever's on your bank statement. But once again, sometimes, in this case, like, let me see, 41,816.56. Let's go ahead and save that. So here I am missing $1,151, right? We do have that deposit right here. Okay, nope, I am way off there. Okay. No, I don't think it was that. Let me see. Let me try that 700, that 6 one right there. Let me see if I try clicking all of them. No, I'm just getting worse and worse and worse. Now I'm $8,000 in. Okay, so in this case, oftentimes what happens is you do have to go through every single one of them. And if you are unable to get this to be correct, do not worry. You just have to make sure that you just have to locate where all of your mistakes are. So, or all of your transactions. So in this case, I do have a discrepancy, and I do have to go through every single one of them to be able to ensure that that is correct. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. Let's go through one of it, one at a time. So let's go ahead and put that old one in there, and then we're gonna go through it one more time. So again, you got the 1567, you got the 1500, 29.99, and then 180. Okay, so let's see here. Should be in date order. Okay, so right here you have the $50,000 deposit. You got the 1,500 here, the 1567, $29, 180. So that's for surely there. The 671.16. Okay, I believe it's not one of those transactions. No, we got charged $9.99, $34.07. Oh, right here, the 671.16 has cleared. So we do need to put that in there. Okay. The 534.07, $9.99. Ooh, there's this in here twice. Okay, one for Mario. Oh no, we put in Mario in here twice. Okay, so there's our first discrepancy, is we have him pull out money twice. So make sure you uncheck that. Or in this case, I'm going to uncheck this one. Okay. So there's our first discrepancy, is that we end up having too much money being paid out. Okay. Let me see. So where were we? We were at 6116, 1772, 1754, $5,000. 1672. This $21 I do not see. Okay, $5,000. Okay. Let's see this 203. Let's see. 203, 200, then 980. Oop. So let's see, 200. The 203, 200 has cleared. 980 has cleared. Did we write a check for $4,000? I don't think so. Yep, we didn't write a check for $4,000. So there's the biggest discrepancy right there. Is we never wrote a check for $4,000. Okay. Okay. 1210, did that go through? Yes, 1210 went through. 665. Okay, to give you 11,23309 is what we should have. Okay, so let me see. 1210, 665. This 108 did not clear. This 1,717 did not clear. And this 1654 definitely cleared. So in this case, 1118. Oh, I'm off by so much. I'm at 11. I'm supposed to say 11,22304. So got to go back in there again to confirm which one I'm missing here. Deposits we said was fine, right? It should have been at 51,804.42 now. It's supposed to be 41. So let me go ahead and readjust this one more time to that previous one, which was the 40. The 461133. Sorry, I don't remember that number again. 461133. 461133. Save. So let's see. So I'm off by $54 again. Okay. So 11,18909 is what I am missing. I'm missing a payment. And I can't figure it out. So in this case, all right, so in this case, your discrepancy is going to be whatever it is that you're missing. Maybe it's the $16.54, because from my previous class, we had that error where we couldn't find the $16.54. That could be why your discrepancy is off, okay? So in this case, yep, as far as that, if you're unable to do it, you're going to need to take the time to go through it. So unfortunately, I don't have time to get to it, but your goal is to get to 0. So maybe you need to go through the recalculations again, go through each and every single one until you find it. I cannot find it, and it's already 11 o'clock. So let's go ahead and if you can't find it, that's the thing that you have to do. Do not proceed to continue with the lesson, okay? You should definitely never, ever plug in a reconciliation if you do not match your numbers at 0, okay? Because that's going to throw off the rest of your work for the next following accounting period, okay? Your goal is to try to get to 0, and you're going to have to figure it out. Why? Where's discrepancy? How come you're getting that discrepancy? And so on and so forth. So unfortunately, I went through all my transactions. I can't find what I'm missing. So, but the goal is you want this to be 0 before you can go ahead and say, yes, I am done with this transaction, okay? So in this case, I'm missing a payment somewhere, all right? So at least I know that for sure. I'm missing a payment somewhere in here, and I don't have that payment. So you might have to adjust your numbers to get to the exact 0 number, okay? All right, so maybe that $54 was that payment that I'm missing. All right, so other than that, that concludes chapter 6. So again, we don't have time for chapter 7, so that is okay. We'll just do it next week on Monday. So with that, any questions in regards to chapter 6? Okay, no? All right, so then let's go ahead and dive right into the chapter 6 review questions here. So let's go ahead. Your multiple choice is going to be selecting the best answer for each of the following. So, number 1, okay? When the beginning balance field in the reconciliation window, okay, does not match the beginning balance on your bank statement, you should D, both B and C is correct. You're going to repeat. Oop, sorry about that. I think I moved to the next page. You're going to B. I did it again. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so you're going to go B. You're going to repeat the most recent reconciliation to see if the missing transaction are waiting to be pending for transaction to be recorded. You're also going to click on the we can help you fix it. Okay, so again, you do also have that option to go as well. Number 2, which statement is false? So not true.
A.
Of course, you can definitely enter, or in this case, you can't enter in the bank service charges using the enter statement charges, right? Enter statement charges, this right there is for your customers. If they fail to make a payment, you can charge them on their customer statement. So make sure you are aware of terminology. This statement charges is for your customer. You're not going to charge your customers for your bank service charges. But like I said earlier, when we did the bank, importing the bank data, we already acknowledged that we had a service charge, okay? So that's why it was already implemented into the transaction, okay? All right, so number 3, okay? When you find an erroneous amount on the transaction while reconciling, correct the amount by
D.
D is correct by performing either B or C, which in this case, B says you're going to be opening by opening the original transaction and changing the amount. Yes, okay, you have the ability to edit your transaction anytime. Maybe you accidentally fat-fingered one of the numbers in there, right? Or you could be editing the entry in the reconcile window, okay, and change the amount on the transaction. Okay, all right. Number 4, okay, to properly void, right, an uncashed lost check, okay, from a closed accounting period, C, you're going to make a deposit in the current period for the same amount, right? So in this case, if you're trying to avoid that transaction in the old previous one, you need to add that money back in there in the next accounting period, right? Number 5, which of the following columns cannot be displayed in the reconciliation window?
Would it be B?
B, class. Yes, you do see the reference number. Yes, you see the date of the transactions. And of course, you see who you paid, right? But you don't see the classes, right? Number 6, okay? You know you have reconciled your bank account correctly when? B, of course, when your difference amount is 0. So in this case, I was unable to do mine. That's okay. There could be some tweaking that you need to do. But in this case, yes, B should be correct. Okay. Number 7, okay? The reconciliation report shows so you had to do your reading here.
D,
D, all of the above, right? It shows the beginning bank balance shown on the bank statement, right? And then it also shows you all the transactions on the statement that for the month. And of course, it also shows you the actual registered balance as of the accounting. So in this case, it shows you the bank statement number. It also shows you what you put in your books, right? And it shows you the difference between the two and the transactions. So good. Letter D. Number 6, okay? What accounts should be reconciled? Okay.
A,
Yes, right? Most balance sheet accounts. If you remember from way back when in chapter 1, your balance sheet is going to consist all of your assets, all of your liabilities, and all your equity, right? The balance sheet literally tests the accounting equation, which is your assets must equal your liabilities plus your equity, right? In the very beginning of the class, I mentioned that you can reconcile any asset account, any liability account, and any equity account. Okay? So A is true. Number 9, okay? You should connect which accounts to the banking feed.
D,
D, A, and B. Yes, you are going to do any business checking and savings account, and of course, you're going to do any business credit card account, right? You can also go beyond that. You can also connect any of your what do you call it? Those accounts that you can link your receiving payments for. So again, Cash App, Venmo, whatever other form of payment systems that you have available. Okay. So yes. Okay. Number 10, a sales income in the banking feed should. Oh, sorry, all sales income in the banking feed should.
should it be D?
It's 100% going to be D, right? When you collect sales income, how does that reflect in your bank account? You're going to deposit all the cash that you earned from that sales, right? So again, it should match all of your bank deposits. Yes. Okay. That's like the only thing that you're going to be putting in there, except for, if you receive payments, for example, from interest, then that's going to be obviously different. But mostly you're collecting money from your customers because you sold to them, right? So that's going to be a deposit to your checking account. Number 11, okay? When you finish reconciling a credit card account and then confirmation, and the confirmation box appears, it is best to practice to do what? Okay, so you reconciled your credit card information. What usually should be the best practice after that?
B,
B, yes. Either pay the credit card right then and there or enter in a bill. Usually, right, when you get a credit card statement, usually it tells you when is your next billing cycle, what amount of payment is due, when your bill is due, and so on and so forth, right? So it is a best practice if you are going to be reconciling your credit card, you should do one of the two options, right? Either enter in the bill or pay for the credit card. Okay? Good. Number 12, okay? Now, there are rules and regulations. Let me go back to question 11. There are some rules and regulations when you are going to be entering in a bill. Now, for instance, a credit card has a minimum payment required, right? So you need to, before you even enter in a bill, you need to determine how much you're going to pay your credit card off, right? Are you going to pay the entire amount off? Are you going to pay the minimum? Are you going to pay above the minimum? Because ultimately, when you are entering a bill, you are generating a liability, meaning that you promise to owe this exact amount. Now, if you do not know how much you're going to pay, right? Maybe this month you might not be able to afford to pay off the entire credit card just in one sitting, right? Maybe you have to do multiple payments. Maybe today I got to pay over the minimum. Next time I pay the minimum. Next time I pay off the entire credit card. Whatever executive decision that you make for your company, whether you choose to pay the credit card off, if you know the exact amount, enter in a bill. If you are unsure of what you're going to pay, do not enter in a bill. I would recommend you to wait till you actually pay the bill off, right? And I would rather you enter the payment through the write a checks window, okay? Because in that case, if you are not sure how much you're going to pay your credit card, don't set up a liability for it, right? Don't set up that you're going to pay this off, because in QuickBooks, what you're saying is, okay, I'm going to pay this exact amount off, right? And if you continue to go have that and put it in as a liabilities, let's say you have your whole entire credit card off, or let's say, for example, you owe $2,500, but realistically, you're only going to pay the bill off $500, right? If you do that and you use the enter bills window, it's going to keep flagging you that you have an overdue past bill because you didn't pay it off. Where in this case, you're better off if you don't know what you're gonna, the amount that you're gonna pay, you're better off to just pay the bill directly on the day that you make a payment. Okay? Never schedule the bill for that if you are not sure. But if you're confident that you're going to go ahead and just pay that whole entire statement off, whatever your statement balance is, record it, and then when the day comes, pay it. That's simple as it is right there, okay? Number 12, okay? The two view options for banking feeds are... So there's two ways that you can view it. Okay. See the accountant view and the business view. So again, very similar to the left navigation bar. You have those two exact options too, because do you want to see it as an accountant's view, meaning you want to see all the details in regards to everything that's into your accounting, so all the fees and things like that, or do you want to look at it as a business view where you're looking at the money in, the money out? So that, yes, letter C is true. Number 13, okay? In what account is transactions created if you complete a reconciliation and your difference is not 0? So again, we talked about this. This is definitely not recommended to do.
Is it C?
It is C. You're going to go ahead and do what's called a reconciliation discrepancy. So if you did proceed, for instance, I'm missing that $54, right? If you proceed on to continue to do that reconciliation, it's going to immediately flag you saying that you have a discrepancy for $54. Do you want to create a reconciliation discrepancy account? And like I said, I recommend you not to do it. I recommend you to stop what you're doing, right? And go look at your bank statement, go through every single transaction and find that discrepancy. Because if you proceed, that means you're going to be messing up the rest of your banking account system because you're going to have to continue on with that missing $54. Now, again, rule of thumb is if you do proceed, you do need to do the measurements of figuring out, investigating where that $54 is, right? So in this case, you're going to be doubling up the work at the end of the day if you choose to proceed and create that reconciliation discrepancy. But like I said, best rule of thumb is locate where that is, so then you don't have to reinvestigate it after hours. Just do it right the first time, okay? Number 14, okay? Your net income is vastly overstated, okay? Okay? What could be the cause? What could be the causing of this? What could be causing this problem? Excuse me.
D.
D is correct, right? It's either A or B. You could either A, deposits were added through the banking feed, okay, instead of matching it, okay. So like that one transaction, right? We entered in Mario Mabila twice, which is strange. Okay, we tried to clear it up, saying that it was a matched transaction, so I might have to go back and exclude that. And then, let's see, B says transactions in the checking register were left unreconciled. Okay, yes, that could be a reason why you have a discrepancy. Okay. Last question of the day, 15. Okay, if the banking feed shows an incorrect payee or category, you should
A.
A, right? You should click on the transaction and enter in the correct information. Yeah, so in this case, when you're on that that banking feed section where you're categorizing something, you should go back, edit the information by clicking on it and correcting the transaction, right? Just like what I did earlier when we had that that issue with Mario. He was designated as an owner's draw. He's not even an owner, he's an employee, so we had to adjust it with the salaries and wages 6 months. Okay? So, good job today. All right, so again, we're just going to go ahead and get started with chapter 7 on Monday.